Hi guys, so I've just made another kill team display box, and as you can see this time it's the Ork Kommandos. So starting with a basic box like I did last time, I've now made quite a few of these boxes, nice and simple, and then obviously I can make loads of the kill team displays. So I'm making each display case appropriate for the obviously the kill team that's in it, and as this one is obviously going to be orcs, that's why I'm using these kind of corrugated sort of panels, but obviously as you'll see I will add loads more sort of bits and pieces to make it look like the orcs have, well, they've made it their own by basically making it out of whatever they could find. So yeah, good old 3D printing. I'm using the Anycubic Photon M3. They have got loads of sales on at the moment, guys, as they are celebrating their 7th year of, of making printers, I'm assuming, as well as a back to school sort of discount and things. So yeah, link in the description, guys, go check them out. Obviously printing these panels out nice and thin, about 2mm thick. Obviously two reasons for this. One, obviously they print nice and quick, and two, well, they're easy to cut, which is pretty cool. So I'm keeping all my display cases nice and simple. I had considered putting LEDs in and a top on and all that kind of stuff, but then because I am going to make quite a few of these display cases, I wanted to make it so I was going to enjoy making them and not be put off by the fact that they were, well, overcomplicated. So yeah, they are nice and simple. I've made quite a few of these boxes up now, so they are sort of all ready for when I do make the kill teams, and then I can work out what I'm going to be sort of putting in them. So as you can see, obviously I'm doing all the bases are going to have these little cutouts just to accommodate whatever size bases the figures are on, just because then when the figures are sitting in these bases, obviously one, they won't move, they won't fall out unless you tip the thing one upside down, but two, when you look at them, the bases, obviously because they are nice and thin, and obviously I use the clear bases, they, you can't see them as much, which is pretty cool. So it almost makes this into like a kind of a diorama, which I do like the idea of. So that's all the panels 3D printed, cut to size, and obviously now glued in position. So usual thing next, good old grout. Love this stuff, as obviously it'll fill in all the little gaps. I say, as much as obviously these things were printed to size, sometimes my calculations aren't always the best, and obviously you've only got to be out a few millimeters here and there, and then you get all these gaps, which is fine. So because a good old grout, fill this in, and as it is obviously an orc sort of terrain diorama, the messier almost the better. Yeah, I used to love making orc dioramas ages ago, purely because it didn't matter what sort of mistakes you made, it kind of made it look better. So if anything, you almost, not quite deliberately made mistakes, but you didn't really care as much to keep it nice and neat and tidy. And then just clearing away any excess grout with a wet wipe, which is pretty cool. So yeah, it didn't really spend too much time cleaning it out. I say, obviously the rougher the readier it looks, because obviously when the grout dries, it does kind of look like it could be rust or weld lines or anything like that. And there we go, one nice sort of looking box. I've got the magnets in the base as well as the top, just because obviously I want it to be stackable. And then I printed out loads of sort of orcish Greeblings. Yeah, bits of all sorts here. Again, I will leave links in the description, guys, to where I got all these bits and pieces from. Basically everything's from Thingiverse, as obviously it's nice and free, so it's my general first sort of place to go and look for, well, for bits to 3D print, really. So yeah, as I was saying briefly earlier, Anycubic are doing lots of sales at the moment. So if you are thinking about getting a 3D printer, I think now's a great time to be looking. As I say, they're doing this back to school sort of special with lots of discounts, as well as their 7-year anniversary with also more discounts. So yeah, go check them out, guys. I've been using mine for a good couple of years, and yeah, absolutely love it. And then it's just a case of, well, gluing all these little bits and pieces, well, here, there and everywhere. So yeah, no real pattern to this, just anywhere I fancy putting them. So I just want to say a big shout out and thank you to all my patrons, as well as my sponsors, for helping fund the channel, which basically means I can keep going out and buying more glue, paints, brushes, well, all the materials I need. So if you want to consider being a patron and helping support the channel, there's a link at the end as well as in the description. So yeah, doing my usual sort of painting on this kind of thing. Good old black primer, and then a bit of dry brushing with grey. As you come to watch more and more of my videos, you'll see that I've got like a usual kind of like painting technique, and basically these are ones that I like and enjoy doing. I find them nice and easy, and obviously the results, well, I like the results. So yeah, dry brush with the grey, then dry brush with silver. Again, just obviously going over, catching all the highlighted areas or raised areas. So yeah, no real sort of technique to this. This really is almost slap happy. And then to help give the metal a bit more of a sort of like a shine to it, I then go with copper. Again, no real preference. This is just sort of what I prefer to do. Just because I think the silver on its own can look a little bit dull. So sometimes the copper, I don't know if it makes it look like it's aged silver or just, well, silver and copper. Who knows? Whatever it is, I'm waffling and I like it. So yeah, each to their own. Again, obviously when you paint your things, paint them how you want to paint them and how you would like them to look. But for me, this is my sort of go-to method. So yeah, adding a bit of colour now, which is quite nice, because obviously the last one of these I didn't really have a lot of colour in it. But obviously the orcs do seem to like their splash of colour. So I'm going round, picking out a few of the areas. But rather than sort of like paint it nice and neat, I'm almost sort of like dabbing the paint on, just so it looks like some of the paint has kind of worn off, which will obviously look a nice effect once it's all done. So usual kind of thing, pick one colour, go round, do little bits here and there of that one colour, and then change the colour and go around and do loads of bits in whatever the other colour is. So yeah, the orcs seem to like red, green, blue, yeah, oh, and yellow. So yeah, so they're the kind of colours that I'm doing. And so as you can see now, you can see a bit clearer. I am just sort of like dabbing it here and there rather than doing like a full block colour. And so this will just give it a bit more of an effect that the paint is a bit more weathered and starting to come off. And then yeah, then I thought it'd be a good idea to go around and put a little bit of silver on all the rivets. Not realising there's quite a lot of rivets all over the place in this. But again, it's worth taking your time doing this kind of thing. Plus I enjoy it. When I'm painting, it does make me go to a bit of a happy place. And I'm sure that's the case with most of you guys when you build things and then paint things. So yeah, I'm pleased with how this is sort of looking. But obviously we do need to now rust it up. Yeah, just because I like rusted looking things, especially with orcs. I always seem to imagine orcs just, well, they don't really look after their stuff, so things just do go messy. So yeah, recently I came across this little technique of obviously putting, well, not necessarily just turmeric, but any kind of spices, mainly because obviously they're nice and fine. So yeah, simply put some super glue here and there, and then drop some of this turmeric. I mean, I'm using turmeric mainly because that's well, that's what I had in the cupboard. But obviously any of the spices are good, just because they are nice and fine. Although I do like the idea of using the turmeric because of the colour. It almost has a bit of a rust looking colour to it already. It's pretty cool. So again, with the rust, I really am just sort of putting it here, there and everywhere. There really is no method in this madness. I do like obviously putting it in where corners meet and gaps and that sort of thing. I'm kind of guessing obviously rust can appear, well, anywhere really. So it doesn't have to be sort of specifically targeted areas or too much thought about it either. Again, like most things, it's all about having fun. And if you're having fun, then yeah, you're doing it right. And if you're not having fun, then maybe you need to change what you're doing. So obviously there is quite a lot of excess on here. So yeah, get a good old vacuum cleaner and sucking out the extra. Obviously this stuff is really cheap, the old spices. So it's not like a case of you really have to sort of try and get it all back just to reuse it. Yeah, it's just easier just hoovering it up just to make it nice, well, nice and tidy. So to help make the rust look, well, a bit more rusty looking, taking some good old wash. I've had this wash quite a while. It's still working well. And then yeah, just sort of dabbing it over obviously the spices, but also dabbing it around areas that are around the spices and letting it drip. Obviously because it is a wash, it is nice and wet and watery. So yeah, it will sort of leak and move really well, which is obviously pretty cool for rust, because obviously you do want it to have or leave streaky lines, which is pretty cool. And then the last thing I went over and did was a bit of dry brushing with some silver. This is very dry brushing, so this will just catch the very raised areas of where I'm doing this rust, and just add a little bit of silver colour to it, which I think makes it look pretty cool. And there we go, that's it all done. So yeah, really loving how this has come out. Very orky looking, with all obviously the little panels here and there, and definitely the rust I think works well for anything that the Ork made. So yeah, very pleased with how this has come out. and obviously great looking little display come diorama. So all it needs now is the figures, and again this is obviously why I love using clear bases. Obviously they're a lot thinner than the normal bases that come with the figures, and obviously you can't sort of see the bases as much. Obviously these are reflecting quite a bit, but that's probably because I've got a light literally about 7-8 inches above their heads. So yeah, there we go guys. So what do you want to see me make next? I've obviously got the Death Cause of Krieg to work on in Air 1. I'm going to have the Tau Pathfinders soon as well. But yeah, any other kill teams you want to see me assemble and make, guys, let me know. My plan is to eventually, well, make them all. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, comment, all that good stuff, guys. That's it. Take care. Bye for now.